If you were Hello everybody and welcome back to the action at the World Open and welcome to the third quarter-final appearance as we now have the two players that prefer to play quickly. It is going to be the Un-Nooh from Thailand and it's going to be Guy Wilson from England trying to compete for a chance to battle it against potentially Judd Trump or Hossein Rafai in the semi-final spot. We already had the two semi-finalists confirmed with Weezer and Ronnie O'Sullivan taking it all the way to be setting up a great clash of champions. Weezer managed to beat Mark Cullen by 5 frames to 1, whereas Ronnie O'Sullivan took it one step further and managed to whitewash Ryan Day in a fantastic performance, making the breaks of 96, 113, 104, and 153 the highest break ever recorded in a professional snooker tour. We've seen it all this morning. Let's see what's it going to be from the Spit King himself. It's an interesting thing about Chipchai because you always look at the clips of him. You always see he's going to be making those maximum breaks like he had in Saudi Arabia this season. He had one in the Wuhan Open as well, but he never quite gets himself to be participating into the sort of last 16 stages. Then, if you're going to have a choice of watching Ronnie O'Sullivan, Jiao Xington, and Judd Trump, then you may have Un-Nooh just to go slightly on the background. Slightly like that, but today he's going to be in here trying to put it down to the last 4 for himself. And what a lineup could we have there? I mean, no disrespect to Guy Wilson or Hossein Rafai, but I mean, pure entertainment that. Un-Nooh against Judd Trump, and then Weezer against Ronnie O'Sullivan. That will be one of the best setups of World Open that we've ever seen. And remember, one thing about Un-Nooh, he's managed to win the snooker shootout in 2019, but also he's been the runner-up at this exact event. He was in the semi-final where he was playing against Guy Wilson in the Scottish Open in 2022. That was probably the last meeting that the two have shared with each other. But ultimately, it is going to be all about trying to put up some show for the fans. And let's see if this match is going to last longer than the first couple of quarterfinals. Only seen 6 frames in the match of Weezer against Mark Cullen. Only seen 5 of those in the match of Ronnie O'Sullivan against Ryan Day. And if you talk about their campaign so far, then obviously you have to start with Guy Wilson. Had a couple of nervy matches. The one with Aaron Hill was very close, had to go the distance. Managed to win that one 5 frames to 4. And then, of course, defeating the winner of the World Championship last season, Jiao Xington, managed to take that match 5 frames to 2. And also defeated Ian Burns by 5 frames to 1. So it's had a good run there. And if you look at the head-to-head, a couple of first to 4 matches, Gibraltar Open and European Tour Championship, both of them were won by Chipchai himself. And then in the Championship League in 2021, he's managed to take that match 3 frames to 2. And then if you talk about the player from Thailand himself, he had a good campaign. He's lost only 4 frames coming up to this match. And, he's managed to beat Shahab, he's managed to beat Grace, he's managed to beat Michael Holt, and then, of course, he's managed to defeat Marco Fu in a blistering performance to set this clash up with Guy Wilson here. We're going to be on table 2. Once again, it's nothing against Judd Trump or Hossein Rafai, but simply for the factor of this match is going to be a lot closer. I do expect Trump to run away with it against Rafai, as much as he had a good run against Mark Williams. Still feel like he's going to be very much the underdog. So now it is going to be the story to be written. Is it going to be to the man from Thailand to make it into the first semi-final of the season and try and challenge for it to be another ranking event for him to add to the count that he has? Or could it be Gary Wilson trying to add to the tally of making the final of Wuhan Open? In the end, he was the runner-up to Xiao Godon that will actually receive the card onto the Tour Championship, it would seem, after the confirmed withdrawal of Ronnie O'Sullivan. And F1 then, yes, it is going to be Spit King against the Predator, but we'll have to see whether it is going to be a very much Guy Wilson story or Un-Nooh. They called him Spit King for a reason. He's not even in the game of Need for Speed Pro Street, but still, he's very much trying to play fast, and that's why some of the fans of snooker, neutral fans, me included, very much like to see him play, and this is exactly why that I've chosen this match over Judd Trump against Hossein Rafai, purely for the spectacle, but also the way that I feel like this one could go all the way. I said 5-3 for him, Still could see this one going all the way the distance, but I just hope that we're going to savour the most out of this potential of a match as Chipchaya now makes his way onto the arena. So let's see what's it going to be there for him. AO Wilson today, I think. I'll have to see on it, but a bit too open in his play to overcome Wilson. Well, Kevin, that's an interesting comment from you to me, mate, to be fair, because if you've seen the way that Gary Wilson managed to beat Xiaoxington, that was anything but close play, and he certainly was taking a lot of risks there, so I feel like I'm going to disagree on you on that one, but maybe it to be a quarter-final stage, there's going to be a change of play. I very much doubt that if I've known Gary Wilson like I think I do. But we'll have to wait and see. As I say, I think if it's going to be a clash of styles, it's going to make the match a bit different to what I was expecting from it. But it also makes it unpredictable. Now that Gary Wilson makes his way onto the arena as well. We'll keep an eye on the table number 1 as well to see which one of these two players will play either Watchalong or Sayuafai. Yes, yeah, it is going to be close. You know, the poll is still massively in favour of Chipchaya. I feel like he's going to be very much the fan favourite, because of his style of play, because of him being in the headlines for all the maximums. And yeah, it's now going to be just a couple of seconds before we get this match underway. It should be Gary Wilson to break off, as he seems to have won the toss there. So, of course, there's going to be his choice. It doesn't necessarily have to break off, but it's going to be his choice, and very much to be made there. As Chipchaya is doing final preparations, and then we're going to get this match underway. Of course, there's going to be another announcement. I forgot that. Something unfamiliar for me is because you always expect to be doing that till last, and you expect the players to be appearing on table 1 for me because, you know, you always try to watch the best match available to you. But, you know, simply for me, I genuinely think that this one is going to provide all the entertainment that you want. So just waiting for Watchalong and Hossein Rafai to make their way onto table number 1. And then the action is going to start here. So then it seems like we are ready. The crowd are certainly ready. Shout out to them, by the way. Massive numbers, and hopefully they will be provided with great entertainment. And it is now going to be Gary Wilson to break. So I got that one right. And straight away, just as I mentioned, a bit of a naughty work from the crowd there, trying to take the pictures, which, to be fair, controversial. But, you know, some people say that it doesn't really impact the player because of, you know, they're going to be facing a break-off shot, so they're going to be facing with their back towards the camera. But, you know, I've also seen a couple of comments that sometimes reflections could be a bit of a thing for you to be put away there. For now, it's going to be Chipchaya to try and roll this red onto the black cushion and play that cue ball very carefully there. So I don't feel like we're going to see loads of those shots. And another thing as well, something that we have seen in the match of Xiaoxington against Gary Wilson, but also something that we've seen in the match of Chipchaya Un-Nooh against Marco Fu. Two contrasting performances, but both of them have got really good points. You need long pots to get yourself in with a chance. It looks like Gary Wilson has got anything but a long pot. And Chipchaya, he was really close to be getting this chance there. Yeah, Wilson got that one badly wrong, but the red in the end just crept over the line there for it not to be lined up on the blue ball line. So in the end, it's just going to be a safety shot to be played there from Chipchaya. And he's going to be sending the cue ball all the way to the top end of the table. So we're going to have a look the way that this one is going to be lined up there for Wilson if he's going to have a chance to try and take one or two of those reds to be taken into the corner. And the answer seems to be no. So just going to be trying to do something with the lower reds. Oh, that's a mistake to me. Needs the cue ball to be covered now. Otherwise, he's going to leave a red over the pocket. He's quite fortunate. He's played a good shot on the cue ball, to be fair, but he's quite fortunate that the red has gone perfectly onto the black ball cushion. And no matter how close it is, with the angle that the cue ball is going to be lined up closer to the green pocket, it's going to be quite a struggle for him to try and do something with this. You know, if the cue ball had been closer, you can always make a point that you can try and take a red along the side cushion and use that red as a buffer. That's what he's tried. And I tell you what, he hasn't played a bad shot there. As much as he's missed the red, he's managed to get two of those reds away there, Chipchaya. So now he's probably still left the red to be taken into the corner, but that's going to be anything but easy. The problem is, of course, he's left another red potentially into the right middle to be taken, but the cue ball is going to be perfectly onto the black ball cushion. So let's see the way that this is going to go now. If you're going to have, oh, this is a nasty cut for you to be placed with. Let's see if he's going to get it. No, he won't. Yeah, played that with way too much conviction to me. I have to say, from that camera angle, I would have never thought that you should be taking a shot like that in the quarterfinal, but it does look like the first blood will go towards Un-Nooh. He's got this red over the pocket, and now he can try and get onto something which he's so brilliant at, trying to use those brave building skills to full extent and try and get away with it. Very much with the open play. And let's see if he's going to take him one shot to try and separate those reds away from each other. He's tried to do that, but he got himself into the world of trouble there, it would seem. Is he now going to have a chance to try and get through to this red into the corner? Body language doesn't give it away just yet, but the fact that he's checking it again, clearly just suggesting that he's super close. He seems like he's about to take this shot on, though. And then he has got another hesitation, so let's see. Whatever it is going to be, it's a massive mistake already. If he's not going to be able to continue the break, he can, but only for one more shot, it would seem. So a bit of a struggle there earlier on for Un-Nooh, but surely now this is going to be one shot too many for you to be taking on. Although, he wouldn't be known the Spit King. I mean, he seems to be thinking about it, but whatever you do right now, you need to be getting that cue ball, if you're going to play a safety shot, of course, into the top end of the table. You know, playing behind the black is not really going to do a lot of doubt, a lot of justice to you. So then, it seems like he's going to take it with, give himself the benefit of the doubt and try and take this black on. But it's hard to describe there, but it's about a full ball underneath the black and super close to it. So if you played snooker before, you'll know just how difficult it must be for you to be taking a shot like that. So surprised, but positively surprised, that Un-Nooh has decided not to play that shot. As I say, if I was to take a sort of a preference here, I really like Un-Nooh for his game of play, and would very much like to see that setup against Trump in the semi-final, because apart from if you substitute Un-Nooh for Xiaozington, you'll probably be my favourite four players on the tour, very much in the last four of the World Open. Wilson, for now, seems to have gone the same way, the approach style, as the one that got him the win against Xiaozington. But remember, he was struggling in the opening parts of that match. Now he's gone for another long shot, missed that one. Let's see if Un-Nooh is going to answer with one of his own. Seems like he will, and he's going to miss it. Now, where's the red going to finish? The cue ball placement is going to be superb, and it looks like he's done himself a favour there, trying to get cover on the green. I'm not sure if he's got it, though. It's going to be really close, and Wilson only needs the edge of that red to try and cut it into the left middle, but it seems like he's not going to get the edge there, which once again puts him under all sorts of trouble, and basically limits those safety shots to be playing the cue ball to the top end of the table to a minimum there. It seems like he's not going to be able to do anything about it. Yeah, he's got the green lined up with a perfect straight line there, so that's going to be a problem if he's going to try and do something about it. And in the end, just try to roll the cue ball all the way to the lower end of the table here. And he got the foul in, so that's going to give 6 points away to Un-Nooh there. Still, that's going to extend his lead to 15 points of an advantage. And the referee's going to have a little bit of work to do there, trying to put the pink into a position where he was exactly on the previous occasion. So then just trying to do the same thing with the cue ball as well. And yeah, that's going to take a little bit of time, but there wasn't really anything that Un-Nooh could have done there, trying to think of an attacking shot. The only one that he had was the shot into the yellow pocket, and realistically, you're never going to be taking a shot like that, especially after bridging over a couple of those reds. So a bit of a slow start, but if anything, that's probably going to favour Un-Nooh, because of what we've seen in the opening couple of shots. He seems like he's not going to be desperate for going for everything that he's moving there, and that seems to be the approach that we've witnessed from Gary Wilson over the course of this tournament. And now referee's just trying to. She's managed to sort out the pink and now the cue ball position as well. So Wilson is not going to change the approach once again off the left side, trying to make sure he's going to get into the main pack here. And it seems like he was close, but it also seems to me like he was fine here on this occasion. And he's going to be back to Un-Nooh here. Try and play the cue ball onto the black ball cushion. Ideally, wants it to be tied up to the cushion. And he's played that shot pretty well. So then Wilson, he's going to have to wander around there in terms of the top cushion placement there for the cue ball. And that's exactly going to be the thinking progress for him. I mean, ideally, Un-Nooh would have always loved to make sure that Wilson couldn't reach those reds from underneath. But still, he buys himself a little bit of time there. And, it's going to take a couple of shots for him to disrupt the position enough there so that Wilson doesn't have that of a shot selection. Once again, played the shot pretty well, but this time around, I say he's played the shot pretty well. That's a really good shot there by Chipchaya. And manages to plant the cue ball absolutely dead straight on the spine there of the black, pink, brown and blue. And quite close to the black ball cushion as well. That's going to force Wilson into potentially taking a really risky red into the left middle. And I tell you what, there's not going to be any cover there. He's trying to get underneath the cue ball, but so certainly going to have loads of risk behind that shot. And it seems like the execution was there, to be fair. And look at that for a shot from Wilson. I mean, to be fair, he managed to turn defense into attack there. Brilliant shot by him as well, because how close the cue ball is going to be planted towards the black ball cushion here as well. And that's going to put him under real pressure there, Chipchai, because, the little problem that he had with the previous shot, yes, the positioning of the cue ball was brilliant in relation to the colours and the way that he got it down the straight line. But now, with the cue ball not being tied up on his previous shot, now he finds himself under pressure, and he's advantage Wilson here. Although he's going to be able to find a touching ball there. So Wilson just seems to have going from one advantage to another. And clearly going to try and use the side cushion to take the pace away from the cue ball, separate the distance, and just try and plant that cue ball perfectly onto the black ball cushion. To be fair, it doesn't seem like he's got the ability to try and use the touching ball to full extent. Maybe trying to get that cue ball away onto the right side rail. But that was always going to be the plan for me, from my point of view, whatever it is. Wilson clearly trying to use a couple of reds before inevitably trying to plant that cue ball perfectly onto the black ball cushion. So then that's what he's tried, using backspin. Not quite ideal though. Not quite an ideal cue ball placement this time around. Chipchaya should be able to get underneath the cue ball and try and play into those reds from underneath. So that's going to be there, something for him to try and consider. And he's just looking at the top end of the table as well, because that's going to have all of those reds available into the play in relation to the ones that you have. You've got 3 beyond the blue ball line at the top end of it, and you actually have more reds out there than you have got the bow colours to be in the open play. So then another important shot. He's trying to get underneath the cue ball. This one has to be planted perfectly, and look at that for a shot. I mean, as long as he follows up with the black, that is going to be the one for the ages. Brilliant find there from Chipchaya Un-Nooh, and he now finds himself with a really good chance to try and take this one away. Big up, did Ronnie win again? Yes, he did. 5-0 win. And if you missed that one, you've missed history-making stuff from Ronnie O'Sullivan. He managed to have a break of 153 points. Don't ask me how he's done that with the free ball. 2 points away off the absolute maximum. And he had to use the pink twice. Now, it's going to be a very important shot here for Chipchaya to try and play. And, well, disappointing, to be fair. Let's see where's the cue ball going to finish, though. He could have been better for Gary Wilson. It clearly feels so, but yeah, from sublime to ridiculous, it would seem, after such a good plan that he played into the left middle. He was unable to go for the brown, and now it is going to be taken all the way. What channel is this? It should be on TNT, because it's still going to be afternoon on a Friday, but it depends which region you're watching it from. So I've got it on the backup version of WST Replay. Now then, let's see what Wilson's going to be able to do here. Can he try and get this red into the left corner? No, he can't, is the answer. Yeah, you'll feel like he should have been left something easier there, Wilson, but is it Telford next? Yes, so it's going to be Telford next. It's not going to be Telford next for Ronnie O'Sullivan. He confirmed, well, whether he confirmed or not, but he's certainly been withdrawn from that tournament, so he's not going to be playing in Manchester. He's going to be playing in Ireland in the John Virgo Cup, trying to commemorate the great snooker legend that has sadly passed away last month. And once again, it is going to be a chance for Chipchaya here. That takes the red nicely into the corner, trying to get himself lined up for the blue, and this should be, not going to say the piece of cake for him, but this should be the perfect lineup for him to try and get started on the break. And a fantastic shot there that he's played, controlling the cue beautifully well, and it's Ronnie playing Crucible, well, he should be. I mean, I can't believe that Ronnie will be playing the World Open and not playing in Sheffield, so he certainly should be. Still trying to win that 8th crown, and I tell you what, it will be a crime against snooker if Ronnie is going to be playing like he is now and not participating in Sheffield. You know, he was making all the references to not being rusty, obviously, with using sarcasm, but, you know, it's anything but rusty right now. But it's just hope, fingers crossed, everything crossed, he's going to be able to maintain that form and be a real challenger when it comes to the business point of Sheffield. For now, though, focus on this match, and you need to focus on Un-Nooh there, taking the spotlight in the first frame, trying to make sure he's going to do the same thing that Zhao Xingtong has started his match against Gary Wilson with. Of course, the Chinese world champion wasn't able to maintain that form all the way until the end of the match, and the mistakes, really, the mistakes were the issue for him and were the reason why he wasn't able to take that one all the way. For now, Chipchai is going to have himself lined up on the ping to be taken into the right corner, so just try and take this one carefully and plan the cue ball nicely from the left side cushion, take it all the way to be lined up on another red to be taken into the right corner. It seems like he's going to have a little bit of a struggle trying to get through to the pink through some of those pockets, but the one that he's going to be lined up on is going to be the black here, about to extend his gap to 36 points, which he does. And yeah, he's got the perfect setup, doesn't he, to try and win this frame, not only with the position of those reds, but also having a couple more of those, which are not going to be available to full extent, so that if Wilson was to come back and need a total clearance, it's going to be anything but easy for him to try and perform that clearance on. And of course, the ideal scenario for Chipchaya, he's going to try and take this one in a single visit to the table. Once again, a good shot there, and really high IQ there, by the way, from Chipchaya, realizing the brown is going to be out of position. The way that he was playing that cue ball away from the pink, he was always going to get a touch towards the left side, and now manages to get himself lined up perfectly on the brown. Solves two issues at the same time, although he could have landed nicely on the next red there. May have to take the one with a... Well, it's a tough decision there. He's got the red, which just about goes past the black there, which probably is going to be an easier cut, but he's got so much to travel in terms of the distance, but Chipchaya doesn't seem to be bothered about it at all. But the fix that he had previously was placing the brown at the top end of the table, because apart from the green being potable, he didn't have anything at the top end of it. And now he's going to have a break of 40 points, about to extend it to another red and black sequence. Trying to play that cue ball carefully on for the black and make sure he's going to be able to control the speed of the cloth as well there. Trying to make sure he's not going to be able to overrun those shots. Get the perfect position sorted. That sets you up nicely for the next couple of shots. And as long as you maintain that throughout the entire frame, you should be able to win this one quite easily there. Once again, look at that for the cue ball control. Lovely usage of spin. Just trying to roll this one all the way for the red. And now getting this one to disappear into the right middle. Just about getting it past the blue. And now the cue ball control off the left side spin. And the good news for him, he can try and afford to be on the lower or the top side of the blue here. It doesn't really matter, because he's managed to win the frame now. That red was frame ball. He's now extended his gap to 70 points. So Wilson is not going to be coming back to the table here. But it does seem like Chipchaya is going to be here to play. Once again, actually being the more patient of the two players. And very important, if you're going to be one of those two players, it is incredibly important for your patience and for you not to be getting frustrated and just making sure that you have got the chance to try and use that frame advantage, which is going to get to his name, as a little bit of a calming down pill or something like that. Because if you're going to be sort of faced up with a 50-50 over a decision where you're not sure whether you should be taking a red like that or not, then it's going to be purely down to try and sort of realize what the scoreline is and try and go with the flow, whether you're going to have an advantage of a couple of those frames. Also, it gives you a momentum, which you can always carry, and try and use it as a positive energy. You know what it's like at the cloth. You already felt at the table today because, you know, in snooker, every day is a new day for you. So it was always going to be very important for either one of the players to try and win the first frame. What kind of live stream is this? Why are you doing a live stream? I don't know. Why do pilots fly a plane? Bit of a boring question, that. Don't really understand it. But anyway, it's a really good start to the match. And he could not have started any better, because you're going to have Chipchaya to try and get himself lined up with a century break. And look at that, by the way. Absolutely textbook stuff. The way that he's allowing himself to try and take those reds one by one, getting himself 91 points of a deficit. And now he's going to have a break of 81 points and counting. So could still be very much first of many that you would expect the century breaks to be very much floating there. Let's see if he's going to be able to take the yellow away. He needs to play with power and try and get that cue ball in behind the green. He wasn't able to do so, but in the end, that's probably the only thing that he wasn't able to do in the first frame. He's now going to be, pardon me, excuse me, Un-Nooh with a break of 81 points that gets himself a lead in the first frame and takes it away from Gary Wilson. It is now going to be advantage to Team Thailand, and Wilson needs to find the response in the second frame, because the whole reason and the whole way that he was able to win that match against Zhao Xington was very much based around him having such a great ability to be winning those matches against very much a top-seeded opposition players, and now he finds himself in a bit of a discomfort zone. By the way, thank you very much for everyone watching. That's a perfect answer why I'm doing a live stream, because we've got 800 people watching. So if you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe and hit the like button on the stream as well. We've had such a lovely day of snooker already, and it's only going to get better if you are a fan of Un-Nooh or Watchalong that has managed to take the first frame away from Hossein Wafai. He seems to be an absolute carbon copy of the first frame, because both of those players has managed to take a frame to nil to their opposition, and the break of Chom was 88 points, with 92 being the winning margin. So it looks like the setup of dreams for me is going to be absolutely brilliant. So it's now going to be trying to get yourself lined up with the perfect situation here for Un-Nooh, and is he going to be able to try and maintain the pace that he's got to this match? Just try and make sure he does all the right decisions, makes all the right decisions, and he goes with the flow there, because if he's going to be able to do that in the first frame, then surely, purely based on the momentum and the way that he managed to get field on the table, he's going to be able to build on that. Gary Wilson, meanwhile, needs to make sure he finds a response now. Otherwise, if he doesn't find the response in the second frame, it's going to have well, it's obviously going to mean that he's going to lose that second frame, and that puts him into a difficult position on a couple of those aspects, because if you're going to have a 2-0 of a deficit against someone as aggressive as Un-Nooh, you're always going to be leaving a chance for him, at least in one of those 3 frames, that he's going to take for you to catch him. And then also, of course, you're going to be getting more frustrated with your own game, and that can be a negative effect on your attempt to challenge for the semi-final spot. But for now, it's going to be all about trying to take this one away. Un-Nooh just having a little bit of a look at his tip. Seems to be happy with it to continue the match. And now it is going to be him making his way towards the table and trying to separate the reds away from each other there. Once again doing that very much left-handed and placing that cue ball in between the brown and green, and making sure the cue ball is going to find his way nicely behind the yellow. Another great safety there. We told you that you can't play safe. He certainly can break off there. Brilliant shot by Un-Nooh. And now it's going to be Gary Wilson to be leaving this one to the referee to try and check on what's going to be happening here. And what's happening is that he needs to get the perfect contact point of this red to make sure that he touches it first and foremost, but also to ensure that the cue ball is not going to be anywhere near the right corner pocket. Plays the shot pretty well, to be fair. And look at that for the cue ball placement as well. Managing to judge the pace pretty well, to say the least. Now getting himself to be lined up with these red to be lined up into the probably right corner there. Trying to play it across the table. And he decided to go for one of the lower ones. I have to say, a bit of a weird shot selection that from Un-Nooh, because the way you open up that red, you're always going to leave it in the open play, and therefore it makes it a bit of a more of a high risk shot for him to be taking on. But anyway, it'll still take a lot of courage and a lot of precision there from Wilson to try and take either one of the 2 reds that he's got available to him away. And in the end, it looks like he's going to be playing the patient game for now. The black is going to be out of position. The yellow is going to be so as well. Bring the championship back to Thailand, my dear. Well, it's a fair point. But whether he's going to be able to do that, he's going to have an absolute giant of the game very much in his way. He's going to have to try and beat either Ronnie or Sullivan in Weezer if he's to get through to the final. And before then, he's got to potentially very challenging opponents of Gary Wilson and then the winner of Watchalong against Hossein Wafai. But he's done it before when he was in the ranking event final. He's managed to do it, of course, in the shootout, which is nothing like all the other tournaments. But now he's going to be Gary to try and do something with those reds. It seems to be just going back and forwards there. One of the players is sending the reds into the main pack of them, and the other one is just trying to find a couple more to be sent away from the main pack without trying to open up the position too much there. So then once again, trying to place the cue ball quite close to the bowl cushion. Chipchai is going to be checking the situation with the colours, by the way. Is going to be absolutely dreadful. You know, we didn't really have a too quick of a start to the first frame, but now it looks like it's going to be even slower of a start to the second frame here. The pink is covered up, the black is not available, and well, this red that he sends towards the blue is going to make the blue not available as well into the middle pockets of sure. I'll tell you what, whoever manages to win this frame is going to have to surely do it in a couple of attempts there because of how close the position is going to be. And that sort of makes the game a bit more open, to be fair, because it just sort of makes the value of making a mistake slightly less of a thing there. And that increases the chances of players actually taking the more high-risk shots in the nearer future. For now, it's going to be Chipchaya to try and play this raid away into the bunch and cannon the cue ball all the way into the right side cushion. Try and get the white to be in behind the brown. Just about misses that contact point, but still manages to keep the cue ball nicely inside the D. And Gary Wilson is going to try and build even more momentum. He seems to be winning the safety battle for now because of him having the cue ball very much in the perfect placement. Now, is he going to be able to do anything with it? No, he won't be able to do anything with it, but now, surely, it's going to be worth taking this red on for Un-Nooh. You need to try and start with something. The problem is, it seems like he's got around 1.5 colours to be available. The brown and the green. To be fair, we've had the blue to be freed up as well. And now let's see what Gary Wilson is going to have because Un-Nooh has made a mistake. And this one seems to be costly. So Gary Wilson is going to step up back to the table here and have a look to see what he's going to have available. I mean, a blessing in disguise there, I would say, because this is going to be anything but easy from Gary Wilson. And it's not really the position that you want when you're a frame down and trying to build yourself a little bit of form. Now he's just going to be looking at those reds by the left corner. And he's going to have to try and choose one of them. He probably can't afford to be taking a red next to the blue because of how much of the angle there is going to be. Forcing the cue ball to go for the ball colours. It's not really going to do him a lot of justice. So it means that his positional shots on the blue have to be absolutely spot on. And that's not really the way to start. Just about being on the lowest side of the blue there. He should be able to get away with it on a couple more of those occasions. But that's going to involve taking all the easier reds away. He's trying to force that cue ball to the top end of the table anyway. Trying to get it around onto the ball cushion and the side cushion. And yeah, he's now going to try and do something about those reds to be taken into the left side part of the table there, into the middle. But once again, as I say, he's got 3 more reds, which are going to be classified as easy. But the problem is, the reds that are going to be classified as easy are not going to be quite as straightforward to be played there when you haven't got the black on his spot. So he probably has got 1 more red, which I can see a straightforward angle for him to try and play for the blue. And then at that point onwards, it is going to begin to be a bit of a struggle there for Wilson. And I'm having a bit of a look to see if the pink is going to be available. But the fact that Wilson hasn't played for it on any one of the previous 3 shots that he's had probably suggests that it's not going to be. And now, about to extend his lead to 18 points of the advantage. By the way, Un-Nooh is absolutely running away with it at the poll. I mean, as much as I thought he was going to be a slight favourite here, but certainly not by 86 to 14% there. Just trying to get the cue ball slightly down the table. Get himself lined up for the red to be taken into the left corner as well. He has got the angle, though, to try and get the cue ball all the way lined up for the blue. The problem is, he's going to have to make it every single time he plays those type of shots. Now then, the red is in. Has he got the power on the cue ball? He needs it to speed up, and it's not going to. So it seems like he's just about going to be on the top side of it. But it looks, well, it looks to me he's going to need to use 2 side cushions. And that means he's going to end up on the wrong way and the wrong side of the table there with the cue ball. So maybe just trying to do as much as he can there with the white and do it off the single cushion escape. That's what he's tried there off the left side, but still you feel like the angle is just setting this one up for a bit of a disaster there for Wilson, because he's unlikely to win the frame in the current visit to the table. But you know, at least he got himself 24 points of the advantage in counting, and he's going to be able to take the red away. So that's going to make his life a little bit easier now to try and hold on to the lead of this frame. Of course, any points that he can try and score from this point onwards are going to be quite significant steps there for him to be taking this one all the way. And well, that's not really going to help the case. He's trying to take the cue ball all the way into the lower end of it, and in the same time he manages to pot the blue alongside the cue ball. Yeah, he got a really poor contact kiss there off the pink, and cannon the white to go all the way to the left part of the table. So then it is going to be the break ends for Gary Wilson, and it's going to be back to Un-Nooh to try and do something about it. Again, hello Letitia, and yeah, I'm not sure if you've been here. I'm not sure if you've been here for the history making stuff of Ronnie, but you are back here now. And we do have a very interesting setup on our hands. Un-Nooh was able to take the first frame in a commanding lead there of 97 points at the end, with a break of 81 that he scored. Gary Wilson seems to have been on the roll at the start of the second frame, scored 25 points, but now gone in off there after potting the blue. Manages to get the cue ball to drop into one of the corner pockets of the table as well. But look at that for a shot by Gary Wilson. I mean, you can say what you want about those players, but they certainly had some brilliant safety shots to be played by either one of those two. And now it's going to be taking one of these reds all the way into the left corner. Let's see which type of a shot there is going to be from Un-Nooh. And look at that. I mean, that is absolutely brilliant. And you're not going to get a better long shot than that seen the entire day. I know the shot that Ronnie had against Ryan Day was just about as good there in the fourth or fifth frame, but this one surely has to be taking the edge there. And let's see if he's going to try and line the snooker up, or is he going to be taking the brown into the green pocket. He seems to have made this decision to be taking the attacking approach. The brown is in, the cue ball is down, and now it's going to be a red to be available here for Un-Nooh to try and bring it even lower down the table. He has got the pink to be in the mix there, but he's probably going to be in the mix from a position where he's not going to be able to pot it anywhere apart from the green or the yellow pocket, which how far it is from them, it's going to be pretty much impossible to call that an easy shot for him to try and execute. So for now, Un-Nooh is going to have to try and wander around the way that he needs to try and go on about the business, because if he's going to try and take this one all the way, he needs to be making the right decisions, and sometimes that is going to involve taking a step backwards rather than trying to take two steps forwards there. So that seems to be the approach that he's taken, trying to just take those reds one by one, making sure he's not going to be rushing too much, trying to play the blue with just getting the kiss onto the cue ball. Now getting another difficult red to be disappearing into the left part of the table. And I'm going to complain about Ronnie. He's playing too fast. 2 days he beats an adversary too fast after the intermission. Got to come back in time around. Yes, love the banter, love the work, and yeah, that's probably the only thing about. And I said that in a match against Sean Murphy, by the way. Let's have a look at how this clearance is going to go for Un-Nooh. He's going to try and make a bit of damage to the main pack of reds, and that's not going to be successful for him. So just tries to take the green away, and he's going to be the break of 15 points, which surely is going to end here. And Un-Nooh is going to be forced to be taking an escape route, trying to send the cue ball all the way to the top end of the table. But yeah, the thing about Murphy match against O'Sullivan, even though he had 8 frames, it finished way too quickly for you to enjoy and save up every bit of it. So that was probably the only bad thing about it. There was not a bad thing apart from that today, because, you know, one thing that Ronnie wasn't really doing yesterday against Murphy was he wasn't making too many of those century breaks. Today, he had a break which was higher than a 147 there. You don't see that one very often. In fact, you've only seen that one once from Jamie Burnett in the 2004. And now Ronnie's going to add himself to very much the elite club. And yeah, brilliant display against Ryan Day, but Ryan didn't really help his case either. You know, it felt like Murphy was very much the challenger for Ronnie O'Sullivan. And let's see if Weezer is certainly going to be able to join that club as Gary Wilson plays another good safety shot here and force Chipchaya to probably be taking an escape route here towards the right-hand side of the table. Yeah, he's certainly going to be forced to try and take those reds towards the left-hand side of the pocket here. Whether he's going to be able to do that or not remains to be seen. Just having a look towards those reds. Ideally, he wants to try and hit them on the left-hand side because that's where all the line of the cue ball is going to be. There's a nice little corridor for him to be seeing, but he probably can't see enough of that red to be taking it on the right, on the left-hand side, I should say. So he's going to be forced to try and take it on the right instead. And look at that. I mean, that is absolutely illegal from Chipchaya Un-Nooh. That is a safety shot that Mark Selby is going to take his hat off to. Brilliant to try and find that pink. Very much positioned about as close to the right side cushion as he can be, and still getting the cue ball to be in behind of it and turning himself. Once again, a perfect example of how you can turn defense into attack in snooker with a single shot that you play. And Gary Wilson right now trying to get a safety shot here to be played. And it looks like it is going to be a foul shot there, very close to it. So the judgment wasn't bad. And it's now going to be all the way to be taking this one very much again there. It seems like it doesn't need to change anything. Just a little bit more power. And then it should be Chipchaya Un-Nooh to be coming back to the table. I say a little bit more power. I didn't mean so much of power addition. And this could be a costly mistake there from Gary Wilson. Once again, a 5 margin. And sometimes a millimetre too much, a millimetre too short is going to be a massive difference there. I mean, Chipchaya seems to be a bit hesitant in terms of him taking either one of those reds. But whether it's going to be a sign of all of them being in the way of each other, or him just trying to find the one which is going to be the best chance for him to try and pot. Whatever he was, he's able to take the red now and put it down to a level score sheet, 25 points each. Rooting for Chipchaya, that's fine. And so am I, by the way. You know, if you want me to be impartial, then, you know, not going to happen because I do want to see a little bit of a clash of styles there. Once again, Chipchaya Un-Nooh against Jutchump in the semi-final alongside Weezer and Ronnie O'Sullivan. It doesn't really get it any better than that. So that for now, Chipchaya is going to find himself still in a little bit of a struggle now. As soon as he's going to be able to get himself out of that struggle, he's going to have more than enough of those reds to try and extend and double his frame advantage there and take a 2-0 lead against Gary Wilson. In the meantime, he's going to try and play the brown into the green pocket, and he seems like he's managed to settle the ship just about enough there for him to be lined up with an easy position there. The problem still very much going to be relevant of not having the black, not having the blue, but still having the pink very much to try and play those shots around with. Now he's going to have a bit of a decision. I say he's not having the blue. He's not getting the blue onto its own spot there. He's still going to be quite close to the left middle. So with the right positional play, you should be able to get the lineup on it. Now the cue ball is going to be taken all the way towards the center of the table. Now getting himself lined up with an 18 points of a difference. And he's going to try and do something about this particular red. So the cue ball cannon needs to be absolutely spot on there. So if he's going to be able to try and hold it for the pink, that's going to be a really risky shot for him to be taking. He's taken it and he's played it super well. Once again, look at that spin judgment. He needed to be just about as straight as he could have been with a minor touch of having the ability to try and play the cue ball slightly to the left of the pink spot so that he's going to have a short selection of 2 of those reds to be available. Now he's got himself into 25 points of a cushion. So let's see if it's going to be one of those reds to be taken into the middle. Once again, the referee trying to get hold of the crowd there, making sure that there's not going to be any extra noise to be made. Chipchaya doesn't seem to care about it at all, as he's about to make it. If Chipchaya wins this tournament, it will be his first ranking. No, I'm pretty sure he won the shootout. I'm not sure whether it counted as a ranking event at that point. I know he was the runner-up here at the World Open a couple of years back as well, but let's be honest, like, it's going to be a massive if he's going to be able to do so. But he's on his way towards trying to make a couple of really good steps towards a semi-final appearance. Now he's going to be ahead by 33 points, 35 at the table. So just trying to do something with the pink and the red. Yeah, he got the pink in. He tried to get the contact on the red. He got the contact, but he he doesn't have the position on this particular raid. And look at that for a shot. Brilliant thinking there. Very quick and a very good execution there by Un-Nooh. And even though it's only going to be one snooker for Gary Wilson to try and find, now he finds himself in a really difficult position to try and find himself out of. And yeah, has to be taking the cue ball all the way to the top end of the table. And it's a risky one that he's taken, and he may have to pay the price for it. He's left the raid pretty much over the pocket. It's a really good shot there by Un-Nooh on the previous occasion, because he allowed him to sort of have full control of whatever Wilson does. He always knew that he's not going to get a chance of trying to get the raid and also put it into a safe position, which is exactly what happened. And now he finds himself in a clear-cut chance to be taking this frame away with just a break of a single point. It's going to guarantee the factor of Gary Wilson not coming back to the table until the end of this frame. Trying to take the brown into the yellow pocket as well. I knew Trump was going to win for sure. So, get to bet through this channel. It's an interesting comment. Don't really understand it, but thank you. Whatever it was, genuinely don't really understand it. How am I going to help you with that? He's going to be interesting for me to realise, but for now, Un-Nooh seems to be helping himself. And what did I say about the first frame? It was going to be nothing without you taking the second frame as well. But this is going to be more than something here for Un-Nooh, because now he's certainly able to be in full charge of the position, apart from missing that blue, which is not going to matter anyway. He extends his lead now to double his frame advantage and take it to a 2-0 lead against Gary Wilson. And it's going to be Un-Nooh to try and take this one all the way. And, well, I'll tell you what, this is going to be really interesting, the way that this is going to go there for Un-Nooh. Whether he's going to be able to try and convert it into a match-winning opportunity or not, we'll have to wait and see. By the way, thank you very much for everyone watching. I'm going to do this at the end of every frame, so feel free to subscribe to the channel and like this stream if you enjoy the content. We're going to be back with the semi-finals. Ronnie O'Sullivan against Buiza. It doesn't get any better than that, or does it? With potentially Trump against Un-Nooh to be the second semi-final. This could be the tournament for the ages. Certainly, if you look at the players' names, you know, Ronnie still hasn't had a ranking tournament that he's managed to win so far this season. By the way, Trump there seems to be absolutely running riot there. He's had a break of 109 points to add to a break of 88 that he's had in the first frame as well. So now he's going to be getting himself into a really good position there to try and take it away. In the meantime, 45 minutes into this match, we are going to have Un-Nooh sitting very comfortably indeed in his chair. Gary Wilson, not so much. He finds himself in a very, yeah, I mean, how would I say that? In a very challenging situation, let's put it nicely, because now, I'm not going to say it's now or never, but it basically is really, because if you're not going to be able to win the third frame, then it's going to be 3-0, and it's going to be game over, literally, because Un-Nooh has sometimes, there is going to be a lack of consistency for him, but with him getting all of those chances away every single time that he seems to play the game, and then he's going to have a great opportunity to try and utilise at least one of them to convert into a frame-winning breaks, as we've seen in the first couple of frames there. And one will become incredibly famous at the age of very likely Trump versus O'Sullivan in final. Listen, I wouldn't be going that far. You know, you've got Buiza as a real challenger, and if you look at the way that Un-Nooh has been playing so far, he could be a real challenger to Trump. You know, Trump wasn't all straightforward in his match against Robbie Williams. And, you know, also another point, if you get yourself to the semi-final, you clearly weren't crap enough for you to be eliminated in the first couple of rounds. So you clearly got something to try and bring to the table. So, yeah, never write underdogs off there, and never say that the favourites are going to be the ones to win the whole thing before the match has even started. And by the way, I mean, the match is not even confirmed there. Un-Nooh and Trump both have got a nice little two-frame advantage next to their names, but whether they're going to be able to find themselves winning 3 more frames or not remains to be seen. And for now, he's going to have to try and find an opening opportunity there. Un-Nooh just having a look to see whether he's going to be able to take this raid all the way into the left corner. It seems like he's probably going to be entering the stage of a match where he's going to be allowed to do that. Whether he wants to do it or not is going to be another matter of things. And he seems to have gone for it. Very close. But you know what very close means? He hasn't quite made it into the pocket. And now he's going to have a A chance given away potentially. Let's see where the red is going to finish. And he's going to finish quite far away from the pocket, to be fair. So Gary Wilson is not necessarily going to be entitled to a guaranteed opportunity here to be taken into the corner. Whether he's going to try and find some sort of a double remains to be seen. He's tried to go for it. Seems to be close. He seems to be really close. But once again, close doesn't mean that he get it. And it just seems like it's not going to click for now for Gary Wilson. And it certainly seems to be clicking all the way for Un-Nooh there. That would be great. Yes, to be fair, as much as, you know, I say it's not confirmed yet, it will be an absolutely fantastic final, because as much as I was still going to have very much loads of stocks invested in Un-Nooh Sullivan there to be winning, mentally, only mentally by the way, it still would be very nice to be seeing the world number one finally, to be winning a second tournament in the season. You know, we had a bit of a drought last season where he managed to win Saudi Masters and the UK Championship, and that was about it. And now this season he had the German Masters win after a couple of finals that he managed to lose. But first of all, let's focus on the quarterfinal stage that we have. And this is going to be a really important test to Un-Nooh as well, because it does remind you of the position in the second frame that we had. Although now you're going to have all of those colours available for Un-Nooh, and he's going to try and send the cue ball all the way into those reds. Let's see if he's going to get the result though. He seems like he's going to be all right on the red to be taken into the right corner. Whether he's going to be able to do it or not remains to be seen. But that certainly will probably be the red that he was trying to use to his advantage. And once again, he's got the brown to be very much over the pocket and didn't want a contact on the black, and he got just a little bit of a brush, but it clearly was too minor for him to be impacted massively. And well, I'll tell you what, you don't want to be leaving those chances away to Un-Nooh there, because once again the position was closed a couple of moments ago, and now he's got this one opened up in a perfect manner, and the pink is probably about to disappear into the right corner as well, into the right middle I should say. And once again, if you look at the way that the previous 2.5 frames have gone, you've got total points scored for 193 there for Un-Nooh, on only 25 of those in favour of Gary Wilson. So if you're going to have the cue ball to be played into this right corner of the table, try and stun this one for the ping. Just try and hold it so that you add yourself a minimal distance in between the colour and the target ball. But just make sure you're not going to be too close to the pink as well, so that you give yourself a fraction to work with, and try and manoeuvre your way around those reds. Once again, he's probably the last player on the tour, one of the last players on the tour that needs coaching on that. That's very much the way that got himself into the top 64. And then still very much trying to be knocking on the door there of the top 32 players ahead of the Crucible. Whether it's going to be impacting the draw or not, I'm pretty sure I've seen he's just going to get himself into the situation where he might even get into the Tour Championship somehow, especially with Un-Nooh Sullivan withdrawing if he was to win the tournament, which he's still very much a mountain behind off. And now just seems to be looking at the way that he's got himself lined up for this red to be taken here. Whether he got himself into trouble, we'll have to wait and see out there, because if he has, it's going to be completely self-inflicted there and very disappointing from his point of view. Now just having a look at this red that he's about to take into the left corner, whether he's going to be able to do that or not. He's clearly got something on his mind there, otherwise he would have just got down to hit the shot. But it all seems to be straightforward there, just trying to carefully add a little bit of topspin on the cue ball, get himself lined up with the pink to be taken one more time, and now get the reds available down to just 99. Oh, I tell you what, that was a real risky shot that he's played, but he's managed to execute it super well yet again. So then 39 points of a lead, and just looking to see if he's going to be able to get through to this red into the left middle. Then he should get himself just about as close as he can get with 40 points of an advantage towards the finish line. Yeah, it's going to be awkward to be bridging this one though. Make sure you avoid the front jaw. That's all I'm going to say to you before this shot has taken place. And has he managed to do so? Just about. He hasn't avoided the front jaw, but because he played that on with real low pace, he was able to just try and drop the red in. And that was marginal. That was way too close for him. But in the end, you can't blame him for making the red in. And he should be on an absolute run now to try and take a 3-0, an absolutely commanding lead there against Gary Wilson. And put this match very much out of his hands there at that point, because something that he can't afford to be doing against either Gary Wilson or Un-Nooh is give them a head start of 3 frames to nil. And that does look like the increasing pressure on Gary Wilson. And the worst thing for him is that he can't do anything about it in this particular frame. Un-Nooh needs to just try and finish the job off here. He's got himself into 52 points of the advantage, still having 83 to be available at the table. Trying to take this red now into the left corner. He should be able to position himself for the black if he wants to. Or he can always inject a little bit more pace to take it all the way for him to be playing the pink. Now, this is going to be a bit of a tempting shot there in terms of, is he going to be trying to find the perfect corridor to try and guide that cue ball to be lined up with a straight line for the red into the right corner, because it's a shot that will basically bring him a value of 24 points potentially, because it's a red, which if you get yourself lined up with, you're always going to be lined up for the black as well. And also, if you take that red away, you can put up 2 more of those, which gets you basically run to the finish line. He's managed to get past the last corner, and now he just needs to hit the pedal to the floor. And this is probably the shot where he's going to go wrong or go well. Well, I'll tell you what, it's not gone ideally for him. He's still going to be lined up on the pink. He's not going to be anywhere near the black now. But this pink has got a little bit of distance for him to try and cover. No mistake there. And it's now going to be 67 points of the advantage. Exactly the same as points remaining at the table. So 5 reds available. He's got himself lined up on another one to be taking. And that will force Gary Wilson to probably have to settle for a 4 frame there. And look at that for a start. Un-Nooh seems to be flying through those gears. And he still looks like he's got a couple of those very much reserved for the opposition in the semi-final there. You might have to start thinking about it pretty soon, especially if there's not going to be any drop-off in the form that he produces. So far, there certainly hasn't been a sign of it there. Trying to take the red into the right corner, getting himself the position for the black to be taken into the right part of the table as well. Just try and get that cue ball to be heading all the way towards the left side. And now getting himself lined up for a 1 more red to be taken. Remember, this is the highest break of the match that he's had. He's had a break of 81 points, previously achieved in the, I feel like it was the first frame. Then he had the break of 40 in the second one. And now make that the break of 84 points and counting. So still very much with a good chance of a century break if he is to try and do something about the red by the left side cushion. Just about going to have the minimal distance in between the cue ball and this red so that he avoids a push shot. Or does he have any sort of the angle? And he seemed like he's going to be fine with that one. There was not a sign of the cue ball moving forward. And so was clearly able to hit that cue ball well enough so that he avoids a push shot foul. Now just needs to try and nudge this red towards the middle. And he's going to be lined up perfectly for a shot for the century there. And Wilson was a tough, tenacious man, manipulating every difficult situation to his advantage. Once again, a bit of a weird one. I mean, he certainly wasn't doing that so far in today's match. And unfortunately, it is not going to be a century break there by Un-Nooh. But he still gets himself a very comfortable lead of 3 frames to nil there. And it's going to be a break of 99 points, which gets him over the line. It is now massive advantage towards Un-Nooh. And Team Thailand seems like it is going to be making their way towards the semi-final. Whether they'll be able to find 2 more frames there remains to be seen. But he certainly has done everything that he had to in the first 3 frames of this encounter. He now finds himself in a very comfortable position to try and spend the remaining couple of frames. And, well, first of all, he needs to try and concentrate on the 4th frame of the first mini session. And from that point onwards, he should be able to take it fully away there from Gary Wilson. And let me just have a look at the way that the other match is going on. Watchalong currently has got a gap of 2 frames to 1 there. After Hossein Vafai managed to have a break of 68 points, which clearly was enough to keep Watchalong in his seat there. But Un-Nooh seems to be on an absolute roll there. And 111 now are going to be the odds for him to be very much in the semi-final. And similar to the odds that Watchalong is going to have to his name. Despite one of them having a 2-1 of a lead and the other one having a 3-0 of a cushion. A fight, yes. I mean, well, whatever it is, certainly seems to be the fan favourite in the chat as well. 87% going for Un-Nooh there. Before the match started, that number was pretty similar to that one, so fair play. I mean, I said Chipchaya will win 5-3, but I certainly didn't see this one to go all the way to very much to his camp. But he's done pretty well. He's been clinical. He's been able to execute absolutely maximum after the positional play that he had. And once again, just ask you to feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want to. Hit the like on the stream as well. If you enjoy the content, we'll have more of that with Weezer against Ronnie O'Sullivan, the confirmed semi-final tomorrow. And let's see which one of these two players is going to join them and potentially play either Hossein Rafai or the world number 1, Judd Trump. For now, though, we're ready to get the 4th frame started. And it is going to be a do-or-die situation now. I said it about the 2nd and 3rd frames. The second one was a bit marginal, to be fair, because, you know, if Wilson wins that frame, all of a sudden he goes from being the underdog to being the favourite again. So it was a bit of a, you know, a 50-50 of a frame. But when he was 2-0 down, especially in the way that Chipchaya was able to win that frame without real sort of resistance there from Gary Wilson's camp, he seemed like he couldn't do anything about it. And the 3rd frame was just confirmation of that. Once again, no points scored for Wilson. 99 of those scored by Chipchaya himself. And now it is going to be the man from Thailand to try and step up to the table to get himself a break-off shot. I want to see the real picture. Good for you. You're not going to be able to find it on YouTube, but you can want what you want there. Now then, Gary Wilson is going to step up to the table here. Try and do something with those reds to be taken towards the right corner. Let's see if he's going to be able to do that, though, with the cue ball still very much drifting away towards the main bunch. And yeah, probably the right decision there for Gary to try and play at least a couple of those safety shots before going for a risk, which doesn't seem like they're paying off for him so far, especially in the previous couple of frames. And when they're not, Chipchaya is very much the man to step up to the table and try and deliver the performance for his fans. Because he's not going to be as liked as probably Weezer, the only remaining Chinese player still left in the main draw here. But he's still going to get great support for the way that he plays, and also for how many fans he has around the globe anyway. So then, it's a good shot that he's played. Could have done without getting the touch of the green there of the red, but because it was so minor, because the misjudgment wasn't too significant, he was able to get away with that one. Still force the red nicely over the edge of the ball, of the blue ball line, force it down the lower end of the table, and now he's about to find himself trying to play a similar sort of a safety shot that he's started this 4th frame with. Trying to get the cue ball to stay into the bulk area, or was he trying to try and take this red towards the yellow pocket there? Whatever it was, he certainly wasn't successful with that, and he's quite fortunate that that red hasn't gone over the pocket. So Gary Wilson is going to try and do something about this particular red, if he's not going to have anything available at the lower end of the table either. He's going to have to try and just stun the cue ball and send it towards the area of the green and the brown. So he's decided to go for another short selection. I'm not sure that was the right thing for him to do. Now, is it going to be a visible red there for Chipchaya to try and take into the right corner? Once again, you feel like sometimes Wilson just comes away with some of the really weird shots there, and this is going to be the punishment. Brilliant long shot there by Chipchaya, and lines himself up perfectly well with a shot on the black. Wilson seems to be frustrated with something, but whatever it is, he needs to be frustrated with himself there. That was a horrible shot selection. He was so close to that red, and yet he wasn't able to get the only red, which was a dangerous one, into the safe play. And now look at that. Chipchaya knew clearly going to be in his comfort zone, but he maybe got a little bit too comfortable there, trying to spread the reds away from each other. Seems to be enjoying it, but I tell you what, if he wasn't 3-0 up, he certainly would not be enjoying the outcome. He got the cue ball lines up perfectly on the bow cushion. And now he's going to have to try and find a safety shot once again here. I mean, unless he goes for a long shot from here, but he would be like going for a long shot after a really good safety there by Wilson. And the problem for him is, I've been looking at this position for half a minute now, and I can't still see an easy safety shot, which will get him out of trouble. Probably, potentially, as just about as he plays that shot, I was about to say, playing the red next to the paint, but, well, needs the cue ball to drop there. He needs the cue ball to drop there, Chipchaya, and he was going to be hoping for that, because had he not dropped, he would have left the cue ball to be right in the mix of those reds. In the end, at least he's going to be taken all the way to the top end of the table. And it's now going to be over to Gary Wilson to try and finally do something about it. Number 1. So survive there. F1 the best. Well, seems to get all the support in the chat there, but so far he's been really good and his performance has been rock solid so far in the match. Now, is he going to be taking a little bit of the hit there and maybe a challenge there from Gary Wilson's camp? Oh, he's played a really good shot there, to be fair. Managing to get himself lined up for the green here to be taken into its own pocket. And now, is he going to be at least one of those frames to be taken before the interval? Because, I mean, 3-1 is still going to be massive advantage to Chipchaya, but 4-0, you may as well call it game over. And once again, a bit of a bad shot there. Wilson is going to be slightly fortunate with that. The way that he caught the back-end jaw off the middle pocket there. And manages to get the cue ball lined up perfectly for the next red. And I support Un-Nooh and Judd. Fair play. Then you're going to have a potential semi-final for the ages there if you support both of them. So that is going to be a win-win situation for you. But Gary Wilson will have a word to say about it in this particular match. And then you have to leave it down to Hossein Vafai to try and stop the world number 1. By the way, this position, even though the whole story about and the whole reasoning why Chipchaya is currently going to be sitting in his chair is that he's tried to develop the position very much with the first attempt that he had, scoring just 8 points at that stage and unable to get himself lined up on the red after that. And that was the thing that's cost him and left an opportunity away to Gary Wilson. He still didn't really manage to connect with those reds properly on the previous time that he's tried to do that. And now, as much as there are going to be significant number of reds available to Wilson, he's still not going to be able to take it all the way and make it a frame-winning break without touching any more of those reds and trying to make even more damage to the position. Try and disrupt it and therefore just force it into a little bit of a different zone and a different area for you to be seeing. For now, he's about to get himself lined up on a couple of those reds to be taken into the middle. And to be fair, you can understand why he was trying to take those reds very much until the end. But now he needs a couple of really good positional shots on them so that he plays those reds with the black. Of course, the blue being out of position. I was a little bit surprised that he decided not to bring the blue back into its own spot, as now he makes the highest break of the match to be very much repeated there, and making it the highest break of 32 points right now. So then, he's got a couple of those reds to be available, and he's about to play the shot, which is going to compromise him on the positional play, but if he plays it well, he could still get himself lined up perfectly well onto some more of those reds to be developed into the open play. And, well, that was always going to be the risk, trying to play this shot so that you get those reds to spread out. Now, he needs to find a good green to be taken. Otherwise, he's going to give this position away to Un-Nooh and basically do the exact same thing that Zhao Ziton has been doing throughout the majority of his match of the last 16. But he manages to take the green pretty well there. So Wilson seems to still be very much on the ride there, trying to get those reds to disappear into the yellow pocket. Whether he's going to be able to control the cue ball well enough there to try and bring it all the way to the blue, so that if you can in the white, away from the blue there and away from the ball cushion, therefore, you should be able to get yourself lined up closer to those two reds, and therefore the cue ball should be taken all the way towards the lower end of the table, really. And just try and make himself lined up for the easier reds to be taken so that he doesn't test himself too much. To be fair, he needs a little bit of acknowledgement there, Wilson, especially if he's able to take this one all the way, because at the moment that he stepped up to the table, as much as he had an easy introduction there, it still was probably classified as a long shot, and now he manages to have a break of 50 points there, his first 50-plus break of the match, to add to the previous two that we've seen from Chipchaya's point of view as well, of 81 and 99 points. And now surely he should be able to take this frame away and make it a 3-1 of a deficit, so he's still not going to be out of the picture just yet. And he's going to have a decent opportunity to try and challenge Chipchaya into the second mini session, because all it takes is to have the reverse scoreline, and then it's going to be a decider. And I tell you what, when you're being 3-0 down against someone like Chipchaya, you certainly are going to be taking a decider. In fact, you'd snap your hand off for it. But this is why you should never count your chickens before you get yourself into the semi-final, and you shouldn't focus about whether it's going to be Trump against Un-Nooh or it's going to be O'Sullivan in the Champions League final. We have to wait and see. For now, take it on a match-by-match basis. And Wilson is still going to be a real threat for the next couple of frames there. It's going to be really interesting to see the way that he comes back from the intermission. But for now, let's see if he's going to be treating the fans to a century break here. 33k for the semi-final berth is a bit low for the World Open. Well, it's not bad, to be fair. I mean, I don't really understand what you mean by that, because Home Nations is going to have way less than that. He's going to have around 20,000 worth of prize money there in thousands of pounds. But, you know, it's once again, it's down to just the things that you can see in the World Snooker Tour. And whether it is going to be up to the organisers, but whatever it is going to be, it's not going to be a century break, but still a great break of 75 points, which sees Gary Wilson to take at least one of those frames from Un-Nooh. Chepchaya still has a good lead there of 3 frames to 1, but in the end, it's Wilson that stays alive by winning the 4th frame, and it's now going to be Un-Nooh 3, Gary Wilson 1. So then, the players are about to go onto the intermission of a break. Once again, it's Watchalong that challenging Hossein Rafai into the 4th frame as well. And if you are tuning into the stream, feel free to hit the like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. We are going to be back in 15 minutes time. The intermission is about to start, but is it going to be the return of Gary Wilson, or is Un-Nooh going to be able to wrap it off there before he gets into the danger zone? We're going to wait and see. In 15 minutes time, the match shall resume.
Something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my fun land. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club.
you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Clear When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. When you want to get off the darkest ground,
Right then everyone, welcome back, and the intermission is about to be over in the match in between Gary Wilson and Un-Nooh. So now, let's have a quick walk through the way that the previous 4 frames have gone, and also let's give you an update on the Watchalong against Hussein Vafai match. It was a bit of a battle for the last raid. Watchalong managed to have a really difficult snooker lined up. Hussein wasn't able to handle it. He gave a couple of foul points, but in the end, it was a chance for a total clearance for Watchalong, and he was able to take a difficult raid along the black ball cushion and in the end clear the table from that point onwards. So then he's going to take that lead against Hussein Vafai by 3 frames to 1. And now, talk about the table 2 action, the main action for us, watching the Un-Nooh against Gary Wilson match. Well, what can you say? You're going to have to say that it's been an entertaining one, but from Un-Nooh's point of view, you feel like you're not going to be too happy because you're not winning 4-0. You could have easily been the scoreline. You have to give credit Wilson for the last frame. It was a really good break by 87 points that he was able to score, but he could have been better. Before that mistake from Un-Nooh, you know, Gary Wilson didn't have any form at all for him. Nothing was going his way. So you feel like 4-0 of a gap was there for the taking, but it's in the past now. The players are making their way back onto the arena. Let's see the way that the second mini session will go, because sometimes you feel like 3-1 is still a very comfortable of a gap, but all it'll take is a reverse performance for Gary Wilson, and then he'll be able to force himself with a decider, and you certainly take that after being 3-0 down. As the referee confirms the order of play now, it is going to be Gary Wilson to break off and to get us underway in the 5th frame. We're slightly ahead of the match on table number 1. Keep fighting, reach the later round, stay calm, and you'll definitely win. Good point there, Somchai, and really good comment as well. Thank you very much for your chat. And that's true. You know, Chipchai hasn't really done a lot wrong in the previous couple of frames, so now he needs to try and start from ground 1 really. Just having a look at the way that he can handle the safety shot that he's got himself lined up with. It's a really good break-off, by the way, by Gary Wilson. He puts Chipchaya on the back foot straight away, and the player from Thailand needs to try and find something here. Right now, if he's confident, he is going to be, and there's nothing wrong with being confident when you've got a 3-1 of a lead, but last thing that you want to do is lose a frame before the intermission and the one after, because that leaves you in a difficult position, but also it allows your opponent to very much be the player, taking all the rhythm. And look at that, that was such a risky shot for Chipchaya to be taking, but it looks like he's played it to perfection there. But let's see if Wilson is going to be able to get through to this raid and try and take it into the left corner, but I mean, that was really risky from Chipchaya, and he was about a couple of millimeters away from conceding a chance there. So for a second there, I thought that Wilson was going to talk to the referee, which sometimes, after you get a snooker lined up, can be a sign of them requesting to put the cue ball back. But because there was not a foul shot, because he was not allowed to be doing that, he was just asking for a rest and an extension there from the referee. So then, what's it going to be there? And is it going to be Gary to try and cut this red into the left corner? Still, that's going to be a risky shot for him to be taking on, especially if he is to leave a red over the pocket. Now, what's it going to be? And it's going to be a decision to take a step backwards there. And Wilson seems like he's not going to be taking this shot on at all. And he's just waiting there. He was about to unscrew the extension. And he's got another thing on his mind there. So let's see the way that this is going to be. I know he's heading for uncharted territory. Well, listen, it's going to be a very interesting semi-final clash on the lower side of the draw as well. If Un-Nooh and Watchalong are able to convert their 3-1 of a lead against Watchalong and against Gary Wilson and against Hussein Vafai. Well, Wilson is about to take a different rest there, so not too sure how that's going to be different unless he tries to put one on top of the other. That seems to be the case there. So, well, I'll tell you what, this is going to be a very little control that he has. He's got a rest with the extension on top of a rest with an extension. I mean, that's going to have a balance of a banana to me. But let's have a look at the way that this is going to go there. He's clearly tempted by this raid to be taken into the corner. It's now been more than sort of 2 minutes there, I would say, since the previous shot by Chipchaya was played. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Stick to your plan. I'm rooting for you once again. Lovely comment by Dan Jai. And So far, he seems to be on the back foot slightly. Is this red going to disappear? It seems like he will. Now, where's the cue ball going to finish? After all that time, it seems like it was all worth it there for Gary Wilson because he's able to take the red into the left corner. And now let's see just how many points he's going to be able to score off this visit to the table. And is he going to be able to put some real pressure on Un-Nooh there? Because 3-1 may still look like a bit of a comfortable scoreline. There's not for you to worry about. But all of a sudden, it can turn into a 3-2 of a deficit. And then one more frame, and it's back to square one. Un-Nooh needs to try and get himself in with a chance. The problem is, he's got no control of that now. And it's going to be Wilson that tries to come back into the match here. Once again, very different scenario to the one that he had in the first 4 frames against Xiaoxington yesterday. He managed to take it to 2-all draw, but then of course managed to win 3 frames on the bounce and use the struggle for the world champion to take himself to go all the way. And now getting that blue to go into the right middle. Once again trying to nurse the cue ball closer to those reds. Of course, you have to be careful with those type of shots so that you don't bring it too close and force yourself to be in loads of trouble. But it seems like he's got just about enough distance there to play for either black or blue. Depends on what his mind is going to be focused on. So Khan will definitely win. Please, we need Watchalong. Well, Watchalong is going to be on the other table. And we could still see Watchalong on the channel. You know, we haven't seen him since the beginning. Well, we haven't seen him at the Welsh Open at all because he wasn't playing there. So it has to be since the beginning of the Players' Championship that we actually haven't seen him, which is surprising. You know, that semi-final loss of the to John Higgins was probably the last match that I've seen him play on stream. Now it's going to be very much story for Gary Wilson or Un-Nooh to be written. Now just trying to get that blue very carefully in towards the right middle. And Wilson's still going to have a couple more of those reds to try and take away there. Whether he's going to be able to take it sort of to the extent that he's going to win the frame from a current visit to the table. Basically make it another break of 75 points or so, the one that he had in the 4th frame to wrap up the first mini session. Seems to be stuck in 2 minds there. He's got a red to be taken into the left corner, which frees up a couple more of those reds to be fair. So I feel like he's got no reason not to take this one. And that's exactly what he's about to play there. Trying to get that cue ball lines up for the black. Doesn't want to be straight on it though. And he seems to just about have enough of the angle to try and play this shot with loads of backspin and just try and get that cue ball lines up for the red. Well, I mean, it could have been better. It could have been loads better than that. And I'll tell you what, he put himself under all sorts of pressure for no reason. He still looks like he is going to be taking this one on there. And he has. And he's got it, which is beyond me how he managed to do that. But still, that puts him massively onto the back foot in relation to try and take this break all the way. It's now going to be either a difficult shot on the yellow or brown to try and do something about it. In the meantime, Wilson is just having a look at the green as well, because that's the shot for you to play as safety from. But for him to try and continue the break, he needs the brown to disappear. And he also needs the cue ball to go all the way down the table. The brown is in. So it's another great shot there that he's played with a maximum on his CV. Un-Nooh deserves a semi-final. Well, it doesn't really work like that. It's how well you perform in an actual tournament, and he also goes on how well you perform on the actual day, especially when it comes to sometimes trying to get yourself over the line. And Wilson, he's going to be looking at that now because he's played another good shot there on the red to be taken into the corner. Now positions himself in between the green and the blue, but ultimately probably will have the short selection of both of these. Just going to have to try and make the right decision here. Try and take the blue comfortably into the middle pocket. And talk about comfort though, he seems to have a bit of a struggle to be getting the easier position on those reds there. Because as far as I'm aware, he only has got a very difficult cut to be taking with the red basically to be alongside the cue ball. Can he get through to another red lower than the white there? And, ooh, I mean, that was risky, and I have to say, that was coming. That's been coming for a while there from Gary Wilson, and now he is going to put himself back to his chair again. We've seen that happen in 2nd frame, maybe in the 3rd one to be fair, but whatever it was, Un-Nooh's gone on to win that frame after a bad shot from Wilson that he's managed to pot the blue, but at the same time potted the cue ball, and now it's going to be a long shot available here for Un-Nooh. And, you know, you talk about the risk of being 3-2 down. 3-2 up there on your opponent and losing 2 frames to the bounce. But talk about if he makes this long red in, which he didn't. A bit surprising there with how much of a distance he missed that red by. Yeah, going to be really fortunate with the way that he got a double kiss there. And he looks to have landed pretty safe there on the cue ball. So let's see as the turn goes back to Gary Wilson. Yeah, he should be able to play a safety shot, but nothing more than that. Oh, he's got a free ball here available. You would see him. And apologies, no free ball. Of course, it wasn't a foul shot that he committed, but in the end, Wilson was forced to be laying a shot off the cushion. It just tells you everything you need to know about the luck that he had on the previous shot there, Chipchaya. But in the end, Wilson manages to handle the situation pretty well. Unlike me, I thought he was a free ball that he had, because I thought he was playing for the yellow. In the end, he was playing for a cushion. Got a pretty good contact on the red, though. And now still finds himself 38 points clear in this particular frame. So Chipchaya now is going to try and make the cue ball in behind the ball colours. The line seems to be really good. He just needs it to pick up the pace slightly more. And he's managed to cover up 5 of those reds. And he's left 2 of those to be visible on the right edge, which shouldn't be a chance for Wilson to pot it. Although, from the shots that we've seen from Chipchaya and Ronnie today, I wouldn't be surprised with anything here. He's still going to be able to try and guide that red towards the left corner. But I felt like the pink is going to be in the way anyway. And now Wilson needs the backup of the green. He's not going to get it. So after the previous misjudgment on the red, looks like Un-Nooh is going to have another one of those. And when he misses one of them, I always say it, especially with how close this one to the previous one that he had, he's very unlikely to miss 2 on the bounce. And he's not going to do so. So Un-Nooh now has got a really good opportunity, and I mean a fantastic chance to try and turn these 38 points of a deficit into a 20 points of an advantage or so, and basically win the frame in that single visit to the table. He's got 6 reds to try and navigate his way through. Hey Ron, coming on strong 5-0. Well, listen, he certainly was, but once again, let's give a little bit of credit to Un-Nooh there. He's managed to have a really good lead there of 3 frames to 1, and now it was always going to allow him to try and control the match and very much try and benefit from those mistakes of Gary Wilson. The previous one was slightly fortunate, but you have to say Wilson managed to play a really good shot of the previous time, sort of to cancel that luck out there for Chipchaya. And then the next shot that the player from Thailand has played has been absolutely brilliant. It's forced Wilson to be taking a really thin line, and Gary clearly couldn't handle that one, and Chipchaya wasn't going to miss the second long red on the bounce. So now taking this pink into the left corner, trying to guide that cue ball past the left side cushion and getting himself lined up onto a couple of those reds to be taken into the right edge of the table. So now 25 points is going to be the difference in between the players, and that's going to be in favour of Gary Wilson. But that's probably going to be the last thing that he's got in his favour in this match, because it's still going to be really low odds for Un-Nooh to try and steal this one away, because he's got absolutely nothing, which is going to be a problem there. He's tried to nurse the cue ball into the 2 of those reds. There wasn't any need for it, but he manages to get them into an even better of a position than they were. So as I say, it was always going to be the case when he stepped up to the table and potted that first red. He's got a clear line ahead of himself, and all he needs to do is to try and pot 10 or so shots to go, and then he's going to be able to take it all the way to a 4-1 lead against Gary Wilson, and that's where Gary is going to be in trouble at that point. How many have you joined? Just right. I don't know what you mean there. Have you joined? So, seen a couple. Yeah, I don't really understand the question there. So 10 points behind there, Un-Nooh finds himself with. So just trying to guide this red towards the left corner and get that cue ball lined up for the black to be taken into the opposite side of the table. So what's it going to be then? Is he going to be able to just try and guide that cue ball towards the pink? Because he needs to play this shot perfectly well. And, well, I tell you what, he's taken a chance there. And he better be lined up for this red. Otherwise, you'll be in the world of trouble. I mean, this is why I said you may need to try and take a little bit of the hit towards the pink. And he's all right. But that was way too close for comfort there. FS leading 3-1. Yes, and he's about to extend that lead to 4 frames to 1. He's got around 5 or 6 more shots that he needs to play. And as soon as he gets to the ball colours and all of them are going to be dispatched, he's going to have a lead, which will not allow Gary Wilson to be stepping back to the table and will force him to try and win 4 frames on the bounce to try and find himself in the semi-final of another tournament there. He's been really good when it comes to performing in China this season. As I say, he's managed to be the runner-up of the Wuhan Open in China. He's gone on to be the semi-finalist of the Xi'an Grand Prix as well, after beating Ronnie O'Sullivan into the quarter-final stage. And now he has allowed himself to sort of try and take it all the way there and try and challenge Un-Nooh. Was the favourite before the match has started, but now probably unlikely for that to be the case. Chipchaya has got 17 points of advantage, so just needs the brown to disappear into the yellow pocket, and then he's going to be able to get himself a 4-1 of a lead. And now Gary Wilson is going to be in the world of trouble, and it's probably now going to be just all about when, not if, Chipchaya is going to be able to get himself over the line as he takes the blue into the right middle, and now he's going to be all about trying to play a pink into the left part of the table as well. He's not going to bother about the black, it would seem, although he has now. So he's still going to just try and draw the black into the corner pocket. He's going to miss that one. So it's not quite a total clearance, but it's still break of 70 points, which will get Chipchaya comfortably over the line. And it's now going to get him a 4-1 of a lead against Gary Wilson. You can do it, F. Good luck. Well, F1, he certainly seems to be leading the pace there. And if he was the pace car, he certainly would be disqualified for it because of the speed that he has. John, by the way, has got a really healthy lead against Hossein Mafei in the 5th frame as well. He's now got 37 points of the advantage to go with it as well. By the way, thank you very much for everyone's tuning in and watching. Feel free to hit the like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. We are going to have the semi-finals featuring Ronnie O'Sullivan, featuring Weezer, and now, dare I say it, it's going to be really close to be featuring Chipchaya as a guarantee as well. For now, though, it's going to be all down to Gary Wilson to try and find some sort of an answer for him to try and slow this Formula 1 of a machine. It's just about as fast as the Mercedes is this season, although it's probably more enjoyable to be watching than Formula 1 in 2026. F1 leads 4-1 exactly. That leaves only one more frame to go for. Yes, it does. And the good thing is, the reason why I said it was going to be a massive difference between a 1-0 of a scoreline and 2-0 of a scoreline is that there was always going to be the sign where Chipchaya was going to be feeling a little bit of pressure, but he was actually the player that was setting this pressure up on Gary Wilson throughout the majority of this match, because he had a 2-0 lead, he had a 3-0 lead. Yes, he's lost out that 4th frame, but with Wilson not being able to take everything out of the 6th one, look at that, out of the 5th frame, I should say. Look at that, 4-1 of a gap. He doesn't get any more comfortable with that. And still, look at the incredible form that Chipchaya has managed to keep so far leading up to these tournaments, leading up to this match, I should say. He's lost 2 frames against Marco Fu. He's lost 0 frames against Shahab. Then he's had, I feel like he's lost 1 frame against someone else there. I can't quite remember who it was there. Let me have a look. And that was against David Grace. So he's lost a frame against David Grace and a frame against Michael Holt. But that was it. Those were the only 2 frames that he's lost, apart from his match with Marco Fu. So in the first 3 rounds, he only lost 2 of those frames there. And he's about to potentially get himself another 5-1 of a win. Incredible performance from Chipchaya. And it's only going to get better if he manages to play same snooker into the potential semi-final stage as well there. Should he reach it? Now then, about to go for a break-off shot. And what's it going to be then? Is he going to be able to take it all the way? Leading 3-0, losing doesn't matter. 4-1, then we're sure to win. The ultimate F1 there, well, certainly seems to be the ultimate F1 there. Especially for now. He doesn't have the battery, and he doesn't need to go lift and coast there for him to be delivering the best snooker. Anyway, he's now gone for a break-off shot, and well, from Gary Wilson's point of view, he's going to have the exact taste of the medicine that he had against Zhao Xingtong there, because these frames, the way that he lost them, has been the exact carbon copy of 1 chance to be given away. Yes, Wilson can complain as many times as he wants that he's been unlucky, but you know, that's exactly the way that he's managed to win his previous match against Zhao Xingtong. So you have to give full credit here to Chipchaya. Now, is he going to be taking this red into the yellow pocket? Look at that. I mean, the answer is going to be yes to everything, because Chipchaya seems to be on an absolute roll there, taking the black with that red, and the only thing missing is going to be a maximum break. Of course, I'm only joking with it, but he is on a red and a black combination, so you never quite know. It could be the sort of the ending of the quarterfinal for the ages. And I tell you what, I mean, I was joking about it. But even though it's only 9 points, Un-Nooh does have a brilliant setup for the maximum break. Now, taking the second black away, I mean, you're not going to dream about a better one. I know if he gets through the couple of loose raids, he's going to have to get himself through to the more difficult of his own. I'll tell you what, after a break of 153 points from Ronnie O'Sullivan, I wouldn't be surprised with anything here. And Un-Nooh needs to try and sort of balance that concentration in between, making sure he wins this frame, but also realizing that it could be a chance for absolutely incredible campaign. He already made 2 maximals this season, one in Saudi Arabia. I'm pretty sure that was in qualifying, or one in the opening matches. Then in Wuhan Open, where he didn't get to the final stages either. But now he gets himself a 4-1 lead, and if you're going to get a chance, well, you're pretty much going to be confident with your ability, then he's got to be now. He's got that 24 points of a lead, and now just thinking about trying to take this red carefully towards the left corner, using another red as a nudge to be given to the cue ball. Now he's got himself into 25 points of a lead, trying to take the black into the right corner. Needs loads of backspin for it, but needs to play the shot very carefully so that he avoids the spin on the red. And in the end, that's something that he couldn't do. That he should have done better there, Un-Nooh. I could see that one coming a mile away, unfortunately. And he was never going to be a maximum break, let's be honest, but he's going to have to wait for another opportunity to try and win the match altogether as well. He's played a bit of a bad shot there, by the way. Not sure what was that all about, but he's left a potential long shot now for Wilson to try and take when he had the cue ball about as close to the red as he could have been there. So, is it going to be Gary Wilson to try and take this shred? He did try it, but he didn't manage to pot it. Now then, Un-Nooh is going to be stepping back to the table here. He does seem like it's gone horribly wrong there. And, yeah, if you're going to be able to try and take the red into the left middle, then you kind of have to try and play the cue ball all the way to the top end of the table there. Try and get himself lined up for the brown. Has he managed to get the colour though? Well, he hasn't managed to get the brown. He's still got a really good red into the middle to be dropped in, to be fair. And now what's he going to be? Is he going to be able to try and take the yellow and just make the cue ball to run all the way down the table? He seems to have done that, but for one last time, he seems like he's not going to be lucky this time there. And he seems to have a pretty cute disappointment face, as if to say, well, I can't have all of those things to come my way. And finish the game off. 147, let's go. Unfortunately, that was no longer the case. He's messed up the position on the 5th red and a potential black combination, but now he's got himself into a 35 points of a lead with 107 still being very much available. By the way, thank you very much for everyone tuning in there. If Un-Nooh does make it through to the semi-final, feel free to tune into that one as well. And what a lineup we've got already. Wu Yize against Ronnie O'Sullivan confirmed. And still, Watchalong and Un-Nooh could be the players to join them. So for that reason, feel free to hit the like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, we're going to see you for loads more action to come our way. Just a little more F, keep going. Yeah, he just needs to try and steady the ship here, to be fair. It's all going to be down to playing that cue ball around the table with just about enough of the control there. Make sure that you're going to have a clear-cut line ahead of yourself. And he doesn't need to force any of those, shots that he's not really sure of. And he was thinking long and hard about trying to play a safety there, getting that cue ball off the left side, trying to take it all the way to the top end of the table. Wilson clearly feels like he's not going to be in any sort of a mood to try and mess around here. And let's see if he's going to pay the price for it right now. He seems to be pretty close there because of how long of a look there was from Un-Nooh towards the table. And also from Gary Wilson there, deep down, I hope, great player. Well, all of these comments are true, and as I say, 89% there, incredible stats for Un-Nooh. Let's have a look how many people have voted. Oh, 1,424 people voted there. I mean, I wish I had this many likes there on the stream, to be fair, but thank you very much for all the support there to the stream. I appreciate that, and Un-Nooh surely couldn't see that red, otherwise he would have gone for it. So I had to play a safety shot instead, giving the turn back to Gary Wilson. And now we're going to be looking to try and find the red that he can potentially cut into the right middle. Whether he's going to be able to do so or not remains to be seen. But you feel like it's going to be all down to the positional shot that he gets on the cue ball. And, well, Wilson, I mean, this is turning into an absolute carbon copy of the last frame of his match against Zhao as well, because he seems to be going for absolutely everything. He seems to be missing everything as well. But for this particular frame, he seems to sort of have the ability not to be paid for those mistakes. And another great shot there played by Un-Nooh. And now he's going to have Gary Wilson on the ropes there. Did Wu win this morning? Yes, he has, Letitia. So he's managed to beat Mark Allen by 5 frames to 1. He had a 4-0 lead. Allen managed to get one of those frames back. But in the end, it is going to be the perfect setup of the generation there. Ronnie O'Sullivan against Weezer. And it could still be a battle of who's going to play the second semi-final quicker, Jock Trump or Un-Nooh. The Formula 1, the Speed King, still looking to try and find 40 more points, which will get him over the line here and get himself lined up for a frame win there. Therefore, the match win as well. For now, it's a good shot there that Wilson has played. He had to get this one absolutely spot on because of the power and also because of the concentration of the Reds. He still probably left something away to Chipchaya, but at least it's not going to be an easy chance for him to try and take. He seems to be looking towards the right middle or the shot into the green pocket. Yeah, surely he's going to have just one more chance that he needs. And he's going to have all the confidence in the world. He's not going to have any pressure. And he's going to be able to get this thread in. Wilson has to sit back in disappointment. But Un-Nooh is going to be absolutely delighted if this is finally the time for him to shine back to the semi-final arena. I say it as if he's been making it for fun. It's certainly going to be a massive milestone for him to achieve it here in the World Open. He had a really quiet season up to this point. He had a couple of quarterfinal appearances, maybe. I'm not sure. I feel like in the International Championship, he was in there or thereabout. But now, he's going to find himself only a handful of shots away from trying to make it all the way to the top. But look at that for a mistake. Horrible shot there that he's played. And he's going to be smiling about this one, but only because he's still got a 4-1 lead to try and take. But this is a bit of a weird mistake that from Chipchaya. And he needs to try and forget it as soon as he possibly can. Here it is. Well, there's the mistake that's for sure. That's for certain. Now he's going to have a 42 points of the advantage. And Gary Wilson is going to step back to the table for maybe one last chance there for him to stay in the equation. But straight away, Wilson can't string a pot together there. And he can't even pot the red into the right corner. He shakes his head in frustration. And now, Chipchaya seems to have got away with that mistake. So then what's it going to be? The red to be taken into the right corner. It's very straight though. And he's got about 3 meters to try and cover with the cue ball. But look at that cue action. Brilliant. Straight into the pocket. Absolutely hammers that one home. And still going to get himself a good short selections of either pink or blue to be taken. Once again, it is another opportunity here for the 3rd time in this frame for Un-Nooh to try and get this business done and dusted with. You know, F1 loss, absolutely not for now. You know, he finds himself 49 in a lead, trying to take this match away from Wilson. So then, if he's going to be a red to disappear, that will give him 50 points of the advantage. Just has to be careful with that spin on the blue, and straight away, he knew that one. As soon as he hit that shot, the cue ball, he's going to have only a minor angle and be super close, not being on the top side of the blue there. Wow, what a miss that is. I mean, is that going to be pressure? Is that going to be complacency? Is that just going to be weird table management? He's missed the blue off the spot into the left middle. And I tell you what, if the scoreline would have been a lot closer than that, Gary Wilson should have been kicking himself for not taking the opportunity. Once again, it's the 3rd opportunity for Un-Nooh that comes begging. And Gary Wilson is going to step back to the table for one more time. Let's see if he's going to find a brilliant shot there, by the way. Look at that. I mean, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. And Chipchaya must be absolutely grateful for all his life there with the scoreline that he has, because Gary Wilson has just played a generational shot to somehow get the cue ball perfectly behind the yellow, still tucked in nicely behind the ball cushion as well. And, well, what's it going to be there? Chipchaya needs to try and find an escape route. Well, I swear, if he does it first time, that's going to be an incredible escape there. And he's certainly able to do so. Now, has he covered the point for Wilson to be taking either one of those 2 reds? Yes, he has. Once again, a generational shot from Wilson meets a really good shot from Chipchaya. And utilising the left side cushion all the way to the right side cushion as well. And now look at this. 50 points advantage is still going to be his for the taking. as Wilson now plays the shot and leaves Chipchaya into a bit of thinking time once again. I mean, it's the last frame potentially, so I'm going to just say this one. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit the like on the stream, and we'll see you for more action in the semi-final as soon as this match will end. But he doesn't have loads of sort of incentive of ending there, because it still seems like Un-Nooh is going to have a real battle on his hands there to try and get over the line. He's had the breaks of a single point of 8 points that he scored to try and add to 40 points that he had at the start of the frame. And now he's going to find himself in the middle of loads of thinking time and loads of thinking to go through his head there, trying to realise which of those shots is going to be the right one for him to play. And yeah, just try and take either one of the reds past the left corner and make sure you get yourself lined up for the blue. He's manages to do that. Now then gives the turn back to Wilson, and he's played a decent shot there. Once again, he's not going to get himself lined up perfectly. And please end, well, doesn't quite work like that. It's not just about winning. You need to enjoy the way you're winning. If you're going to get your snooker player to win just because you want to, just because you want to see it on the score sheet, that's not really what support is all about. You want to see and witness that player to go through that journey. And yes, sometimes it'll be really painful for you to try and get over the line. But for now, I wouldn't really be worried about that one. Gary Wilson has another foul shot there. And don't ask me how he managed to pot the blue from playing the red. I mean, it was close to the pocket, but it wasn't over the pocket. And now Wilson, surely, he's going to be in absolutely desperate condition. And 55 points now is the advantage for Chipchaya. You feel like just 2 more reds for him to be taking. And then he's going to be down to a handful of shots that he needs to play. Yes, it's a really thin cut there that he manages to find in that blue. And Wilson is going to be pretty frustrated with the way that shot has ended for him. So then, seems like Chipchaya is going to try and take the red towards the left corner for one more time. Now then, play the shot with topspin. That's going to allow you to try and take the cue ball along the side cushion, basically. And you're getting that red to be further away from the pocket, not closer to it. So, especially with him getting the ability to try and choose the short selection, I'm not too sure what the debate is all about. Oh, I see now, he was trying to pot that red. But now, as Gary Wilson makes his way back to the table, is he going to have anything easy? That's the only way he's going to get himself a chance here, because he's got 55 points of the advantage. And now it's going to be down to a couple more of those reds that he needs to try and find there, Un-Nooh. In the meantime, Gary Wilson is going to be thinking through all the time there, trying to find the perfect shot for him to choose from. And it seems like he's settled for just trying to play a safety there, going for the red, sending it all the way towards the left side. And now getting that red to drift towards the right corner. So Un-Nooh should be able to produce the similar sort of outcome. Once again, it would not have been a straightforward ending for him to try and reach the semi-final stage. He simply could not have been like that. If you look at the last frame that Wilson needed against Zhao Xingtong there, the world champion, it wasn't pretty either. But he was full of Zhao Xingtong's mistakes. For now, we're seeing another great shot there from Un-Nooh that plants the cue ball nicely on the bowl cushion and about as close to the yellow as he possibly can be. So once again, trying to use the diagonal line there to try and find a safe corridor there for the cue ball, but it seems like he's going to have one of those reds to be super close to the white, and in the end, pretty fortunate there, having the pink very awkward to bridge there for Un-Nooh, and that's going to force him to try and do something else there and refuse another attacking shot there, something that will frustrate him inevitably, but he needs to try and stay patient here. As much as there are a couple of difficult reds and Wilson doesn't seem like he can score 15 points together there, he still needs to make sure he keeps that scoreline as comfortable as he can and forces himself to go all the way towards the semi-final stage. So for now, is he going to try and just use this red closer to the blue as a safety shot, because he's not going to be able to pot it? He simply can't see enough of it. Oh, that's a mistake. That's a mistake which will not give anything easy away to Gary Wilson. But once again, it feels like, I don't really like that. It feels like he's waiting there as if to say, like, you should apologise to me for not leaving anything, expressing your frustration. Well, that's not really the way the game works. Sometimes you're going to have days where luck benefits you, like you had yesterday, and sometimes you're going to have days where it doesn't benefit you there. And he's still got a red, by the way. I mean, like, saw that talk, and he's still got a red into the middle to be taking. The problem is, Is going to be quite difficult for him to be taking that red all the way, but he has done it. So then, is it going to be a chance for a comeback there for Wilson in this particular frame? He's got the black to try and pot into the right corner and transition the cue ball all the way for those reds to be taken into the left middle. Finds himself on the break of 8 points there to be said. And many people around, I mean, on the stream, got no clue really. But I'm going to use it as a comment to give a shout out to how many people are watching there. And yeah, I've got 2.2k watching, so thank you very much for everyone tuning in. And highest has ever been, that's been 2.6k on the final of Ronnie O'Sullivan against Neil Robertson. So feel free to hit the like on the stream, subscribe and share if you want to. Still looks like we are going to have another twist in this particular match. Gary Wilson finds himself 4-1 down, but now trying to fight back from being 55 points down as well. Taking the blue into the right middle and making sure he's going to have a chance to try and stay on this break for as long as he possibly can. He's still, the problem for him, he's going to have to be the factor of how many points behind he is now, and also the way that he's got this position set up ahead of himself. He's got all the easy reds that he's managed to take already. Now he's going to be down to all the difficult ones for him to try and get through. And trying to play one more red to be in open play. Could have done with it sticking slightly closer to the black ball cushion. And advance to the finals. No, he hasn't. And it's an attempt for you to advance to the semi-finals, which are going to be played tomorrow. So whatever he does today, he's not going to be able to guarantee himself a place in the final. Well, let's have a very quick look there as Wilson plays another great shot. Tries to get another red into the open play. Judd Trump is about a couple of minutes away from ending his match against Hossein Wafai. But now, all eyes are going to be on Gary Wilson trying to find a monumental comeback. You know, he's had that against Watchalong in the Scottish Open, the tournament that he's managed to win at the end. And can he try and produce something similar against Un-Nooh when it looked like he was going to be out of the question here? Seems to have found himself in a position to try and come back stronger. Since I've been following F, this is the show where F performed best finished the job. Well, once again, let's have to wait and see. It's certainly been a while since he found himself in the semi-final of a ranking event as good as World Open. Remember, he was the runner-up here before, but this was under different circumstances, probably in the prime of his career in 2019 and 20. Now Wilson has got a couple of shots for a potential frame steal there. Let's see if he's going to be able to do it, because he's got a couple of those reds to try and choose from. Ultimately, it's going to be all down to just trying to get this red along the black ball cushion first. Has he got it? Yes, he does. Yes, he has got it. Now, that leaves it with only a couple of shots there in between himself and potentially winning this frame, getting that gap down to 4-2. And I tell you what, it could have been such a different story had he managed to win the previous frame. But look at that. That's a horrible mistake from Wilson. And that's going to put all the pressure back onto Un-Nooh's shoulders, because now he's got 19 points of a lead. He's just missed the black off the spot there, Wilson. And he's now going to be down to just trying to take this red, take a colour on the yellow. And Un-Nooh, he's going to be in the semi-final. The red is in. That's a massive milestone that he gets. Just needs to be the wrong side of a blue, and he is. So then, it looked like the comeback was on, but after all of that, it seems like the fairy tale for Un-Nooh is about to be written. Or is it? Or is it? He still needs the yellow. He cannons the brown on the way towards the yellow. Now he's got himself a gap of 25 points. So, well, to me, that doesn't look like the yellow is playable. More drama, it would seem. Sometimes it's so difficult for you to try and get over the line. And yeah, Un-Nooh is not going to be able to do so. He's going to have to try and find it another time. He's still playing a good shot there. He got himself at 25 points of a lead. And the mission, which was difficult for Wilson, has probably turned into mission impossible there. Please end. Come on, you have to enjoy it. If you're going to be supporting Un-Nooh, then you have to be enjoying that one. You don't want it to end if you're a Gary Wilson fan. Then just try and save those moments. You know, it's not worth anything if you just try and get your player into the semi-final stage. Which way do you breathe? I don't really care massively. Slightly towards Un-Nooh just because I like his style of play. And for now he finds himself trying to get himself over the line there. And of course I would like to see Un-Nooh to be facing Judd Trump there. Un-Nooh has gone for this yellow. He needs this one as a match ball and he hasn't got it. So that's going to give the turn back to Gary Wilson there. So then, Chompy's going to make a century break. So then, he wins his match against Hussein Wafai by 5 frames to 1. But this one, he's going to come down to the wire. And he could still come down to the last black here in this particular frame. As Un-Nooh very good attacking player. He certainly is. And he's going to be rounds of the semi-final. Now then, Wilson is managing to get the yellow into the right corner. Is he going to be straight on the green though? Oh, he seems like he's going to be just about straight on the green, which is going to be not good for him because of the brown being planted perfectly onto the ball cushion. So then, once again, the battle will have to continue at the brown. The problem for Wilson is that Chipchaya Un-Nooh only needs one of those colours. He will need the total clearance there. And with the black still being out of position, he's going to find himself in all sorts of trouble trying to make this one 4 colour clearance. But for now, he's played an incredibly good shot there. Look at that. The brown is going to be placed perfectly onto the black ball cushion. Let's see if Chipchaya is going to be able to avoid the double kiss. And he just about has got the brown to drift over the middle, it would seem. I'm not going to vouch for it, though. This is going to be way too close for comfort. Gary Wilson needs a 4 colour clearance for this one to be over. And it could still be over. But now, it surely is going to be over in favour of Chipchaya Un-Nooh. And yeah, he's not going to be able to have an easier match ball than this. After all that work, 417 points scored. But this one is going to be the most important of all of them. Gary Wilson is not going to stick around. And he's clearly going to be very disappointed with the performance that he had. So then, 4 points. And it is Chipchaya Un-Nooh that takes it all the way. And he is going to be the player to make it into the semi-final alongside Judd Trump. Players have qualified at the same time. And by the way, before you leave, thank you very much for the coverage and for tuning in with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a really entertaining match. Feel free to tune in for more of the action tomorrow at the semi-finals. And we do seem to have the exact repetition of record, 2.6 thousand people watching. Thank you very much to every single one of you. And yeah, feel free to hit the like on the stream on your way out. We'll be back with a semi-final. And I tell you what, we've got the lineup for the ages. Weezer against Ronnie O'Sullivan. Chipchaya Un-Nooh against Judd Trump. Cancel all your sporting plans. You're going to have an absolute cracker tomorrow. If you're going to do a quick analysation, though, of the match, you're going to have to say this has been a pure devastating performance from Chipchaya Un-Nooh's point of view. Now, he puts himself into a really comfortable spot to try and challenge it all the way against Judd Trump. Let's try and have a little bit of a feedback on the way that this match has gone. Listen, the damage was done in the first 2 frames for me. I always said, whichever one of the players able to get themselves a 2-0 of a lead, he's always going to run away with it. To me, that was my personal view, but that was always going to be the case to me, because if you're going to have either Wilson or Un-Nooh to try and win the first 2 frames, then what does it mean for the other player? It means that even if you go on a perfect run throughout the remainder of the first mini session, then it's going to be a struggle for you to do so, because you need the perfect 2 frames execution. But even then, you only force yourself a draw. So it could have been a very different scenario, and it could have well been Wilson, and he managed to come back with a similar sort of way of the game that he was clinical yesterday against Zhao Xington. Now, it's going to be all down to Chipchaya Un-Nooh to try and bring this game to the table against Judd Trump. That seems to be the man on fire anyway. But we'll have to wait and see on the way that this one is going to go. Once again, thank you very much for everyone. I received over 1 million likes. Well, I hope I did. But thank you very much for everyone tuned in. And listen, some incredible performance there from Chipchaya. Some incredible performance from Wilson as well. But ultimately, only one of them could be the winner. And very much from the get-go, it seemed like it was going to be the match for Chipchaya to try and lose. And now, since we're here anyway, let's have a look and have a talk on who's going to be able to win the last 4 there. Let's end this poll, and then very quickly, just because we have got so many people watching, I'm going to leave you with 4 players. So who will win the title? Simple, but effective. And I'm going to give you 4 names, and we'll see which ones you will vote for. So we're going to give you O'Sullivan, Chipchaya, and now it's going to be Trump and Weezer. So feel free on your way out just to vote for this one as well. And then I'm going to let you go for that one. But yeah, if you talk about the lineup, then you're going to have the likes of Watchalong, which right now probably is going to be the favourite for two reasons. For one, is because he's going to have an easier opposition, whatever. Like, I get all the support for Chipchaya, and he's had plenty of that today. But you are going to have to say the world number one, he's going to be the favourite against Chipchaya in the semi-final. Even if that's not going to be the case, Trump could still win, and he's got an easier route technically towards the final than either Weezer or O'Sullivan have, because they have got each other to try and face off. So that's going to be the struggle. In the end, it's going to have to come down to who plays better on the day. But I would personally go for, well, once again, Chipchaya seems to have all the votes there, so a little bit biased, I would say. Trump seems to have 14% of the votes there, as the votes seem to be floated. So let's wait until it reaches sort of a 300 or something like that. We won, certainly have, and winning means basically world number one. He's won a million, amazing number one in Thailand. Yes, listen, about your nation, I know better than anyone in the world that it's very essential for you to try and do really well for your nation, and it means a lot to people back home. And yeah, Chipchaya certainly can celebrate this one as hard as he has celebrated his previous wins. Let's see if he's going to be able, once again, as I say, take it on a match-by-match basis. Is he going to be able to try and take it all the way and potentially reach a final like he has here before? Or is he going to be taking this one all the way and repeat the history of the snooker shootout a couple of years ago? And let's see what's going to happen. For now, I am going to give you the overview on the way that I feel like the matches are going to go. Let's start with, since we're here anyway, Un-Nooh against Watchalong. Once again, it's going to be the similar clash of styles there. It's not quite going to be the exact repetition of, you know, whether it is going to be Chipchaya trying to win every single frame or stuff like that. It's not going to happen against the world number one, and the sooner you accept it, the better it is for you. What you need to realise is you need to be clinical. Something that he has managed to do glimpses of and show us glimpses of today so far, he's been clinical. When Wilson hands him the chance, he's been, until the last frame, I feel like that's fair to be saying because of all the pressure and stuff, but until the last frame, he was really consistent with every single opportunity that he had available to him. And in the end, he was able to take pretty much every single one of them. Yes, the sixth frame was a disaster, but he still managed to win the frame. And when you win the frame, it doesn't really matter about anything else. You win the frame, you win the match, you're into the semi-final. Congratulations. You just managed to double your prize money for the entire tournament. And also, he's managed to take such a difficult raid. By the way, the last raid that he's taken in this match was so difficult because it's one of them that it's not perfectly onto the cushion. So you need to play that one perfectly into the heart of the pocket. You can't allow yourself to be touching the jaw from the wrong point of view. So you can't hit this one thin. But also, if you hit it thick, even by a little bit of a margin, you're going to catch the blackboard cushion, and that's going to drift that red over the pocket. Wilson wins the frame. He's going to be down to 4-2. Chipchaya's confidence is going to be on the floor, and he's going to struggle to try and find himself actually getting over the line there. So, you know, that was always going to be the problem. But in the end, that was always going to be the outcome. So 67% there. O'Sullivan seems to be in the second place, and Weezer seems to be dead last there. I feel like that's a little bit disrespectful, but once again, on a channel that has got plenty of followers with Chipchaya Un-Nooh, says that he deservedly win today. And yeah, so that's going to be my way of predicting. What Trump needs to do is basically be himself. You know, he's had a good run in the Players' Championship. He's had his run there in the semi-final, very much ended against Higgins. He's not going to have Higgins. He's going to have Chipchaya Un-Nooh there. He's lost out in the semi-finals of the Master. He's won the semi-finals of the German Masters, and he's managed to win the crown against Murphy. He didn't have a brilliant run at the end of the Players' Championship against Higgins. Missing that red after bridging was very painful for him. You could see in his reaction. Now, he's got a brilliant chance to try and set himself up with a clash with either Weezer or Ronnie O'Sullivan in the final. And now if we talk about the second semi-final as well, then you have to give a shout out separately to Weezer and Ronnie O'Sullivan, because one of the players has taken this one all the way and tried to basically, you know, if you're going to be talking about it, then you have to say it's down to Ronnie to try and perform as well as he has against Ryan Day, as well as he has against Sean Murphy, and to the extent try and show the game that we've seen against Matthew Selt, Ross Muir, and on a couple of occasions as well early this season against Chris Wakelin, the perfect sort of example of how you should be treating a semi-final stage. Now, we'll see what happens in that match. And from Weezer, I mean, he doesn't really need any coaching there. Despite him being so young there, he seems to have absolutely everything under his feet. And yeah, he seems to play a wonderful game. So he's going to have a really good chance to try and take it the distance against Ronnie O'Sullivan. But once again, I feel like it's going to be more of a bit of a coaching towards Ronnie than it is going to be towards Weezer there. But he needs to try and stay calm there. If he's going to be able to just stay composed, I'm talking about Ronnie here, he should be able to demonstrate his game. The reason why I don't say it about Weezer is that I'm still yet to look at the head-to-head there. By the way, that's probably going to be the last thing I do. So have a quick look at that. But yeah, they certainly haven't played too many of those matches that I can think of. And therefore, it's going to be a little bit of a test there for Weezer to try and get the nerves out of the way. And if you look at their head-to-head previous history, only played once in the European Masters, last 32 there. And that was 4 years ago. And yeah, that was certainly a horrible day for me, 23rd of February in 2022. And yeah, anyway, he was a Weezer that was able to get one of those frames to be won. But apart from that, they never had a meeting with each other. So it's going to be all down to who's going to perform better on the day. Trump is going to be the favourite, a firm favourite against Un-Nooh. O'Sullivan is going to be a slight favourite to me. But let's see if he's going to be able to take that one all the way against Weezer. Or is it going to be a Weezer against Un-Nooh, Weezer against Trump? Or is it going to be a whole different lineup? And we could still see the battle of the world champions there as well. And yeah, Teals are willing up. Well, we've got the perfect lineup. It's the last 4 right now. And we're going to see you all tomorrow. Un-Nooh against Trump. Ronnie O'Sullivan against Weezer. Ronnie O'Sullivan against Weezer is going to be the morning or the afternoon session, if you're watching this one from Europe or from China. And then we're going to have the evening one featuring Trump, the world number 1, and very much against the world number 1 from Thailand, Un-Nooh. He's going to be there to challenge the ace in the pack. Is he going to be the king? Is he going to be the ace? Is he going to be the rocket? Or is he going to be Weezer the magician? We'll have to wait and see. Once again, for one last time, thank you for every single one of you that has tuned into the stream. Feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit the like on the stream. We'll speak to you all soon. Stay tuned in. More action tomorrow, featuring very much the best 4 players from this week's World Open. Stay tuned in. Thanks for your support once again.